Stan, thanks. I just want to take the time and say thank you so much. I know that you've been busy and you're busy up until right now. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time to underwrite this deal for me. And for those who don't know you, Stan, in a little bit, you'll introduce yourself, but Stan's the man. First off, he's the guy who helps me underwrite deals. And in this business, most people are working with themselves, like by themselves, like a one-man team. And in reality, there's so many people that you can connect to put a deal together. If you just know how to talk to people, it's basically it. And since I don't know how to underwrite, I don't know how to do all the strategies alone, I'm a phone call away from people like Stan who can help me underwrite it, or a phone call away from a partner who could help me look at how to structure it. And so same thing with you guys. You guys are not stuck. Stan's going to give his information after. So if you guys need help on any deals, he'll be the guy to help you guys out.
Sarah, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. So we can see everybody's beautiful faces. If everybody doesn't mind turning on their cameras. We're recording this, just FYI, just for obviously educational purposes. This is actually my first time with Carlos doing this live with a lot of people. Appreciate everybody turning on their cameras. So obviously today is, what is it, Sunday? I know you guys could be anywhere else, but you guys are here with us. And obviously this is more for just underwriting. Everything is all educational. And obviously we're always learning as we go. The stuff that we're going to be doing today for the underwriting, obviously is for Carlos's deal. He has something on the seller finance that he brought up to me. And then obviously I appreciate Carlos inviting the squad, your group, and everybody else joining today. So how many people we got? We got 60, including myself. Are you expecting anybody else, or do you think this is pretty much everybody, Carlos?
More people will jump or trickle in. I do know there's a lot more people that did say they're going to come. To me, it doesn't hurt my feelings or anything. We can get started here shortly.
Okay, cool. Just
Patty
FYI.
just shared it.
Huh?
I just shared it to the creative financing group, so we should get some more people to trickle in.
Yeah, and you know what my mistake is, I put in the first link I did was under my Zoom account, and it only allows me to record for or have it hosted for 40 minutes. So Josh helped me out and then created a link with his unlimited time on his Zoom. So we just put that in there. So a lot of people are probably going to the event section and trying to get that original link, which is the one that we didn't even open up yet.
Sweet. What up,
And Josh, can you
Josh?
do me a favor and drop it in the Telegram, the new link again, and in the Powerhouse group? Here it is.
Cool. Yeah, so everything that we're going to be putting on the calculator today, you guys will see it in a few minutes. Obviously, it's always still a building in progress. The calculator that I use was, the base was basically from a guy named Gary Shavitz, who's part of Sub 2, so credits to him. My partners and I, we actually built on top of this calculator. Everything you'll see is pretty advanced, so obviously don't get so overwhelmed on, remembering or understanding everything right off the bat. If you do have questions, just save it till the end, because we're gonna go through this. And like I said, Carlos's deal is a little bit unique. It's not your straightforward underwriting type of property that I'm accustomed to. But we built the calculator to obviously be a little bit more advanced to the creative finance side. So hopefully, whoever's in here is interested in doing that is going to learn today. So, all right. I think we should be good to go. We got one more person over there. Awesome. So whoever doesn't have their cameras on, if you guys can, just turn it on. That way we can everybody see your faces. Awesome. Thanks, guys. All right, Carlos, you want to start off?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just introduce myself. My name is Carlos Ruiz. I recently got into real estate. Previously, my previous career was in sales. I was a car salesman for a lot of years. Did door-to-door sales, canvassing sales, alarm system sales. I even did kind of like a multi-level marketing company, and I did pretty well with it. I was able to scale to the top and had my own little piece of the pie. I had shitty leaders, and got back in the car business for a couple of years. Was doing pretty bad with my life, and ended up just getting let go of the car business, and kind of was a wake-up call for me. and I just started wanting to become a high performer. Started to read and educate myself over the last few years. I was in a bad spot, so I sobered up 2.5 years ago and put this mission to kick ass in life and try to change a whole bunch of other people's lives. And so I got into breeding French bulldogs for a couple years and a couple other businesses when I left the car business. And I heard about what wholesaling was a couple years back when I was in the car business from a guy named Omar Lopez, a good buddy of mine, is like a mentor of mine as well. He introduced me to the subject of what wholesaling was, and I learned about it. I heard about it, I learned about it, and then I didn't do anything with it once I got let go from work. So 2 years goes by, we fast forward till January of this year. I decide I want to get into it now. Coincidence, Omar hits me up literally the next day when I'm thinking, hey, I want to get into it. And today's actually the 6-month anniversary of when I got into wholesaling. So I get into wholesaling with Omar Lopez, and I go to his home. He had, I believe, 4 or 5 VAs, and he had some leads. And so it was nothing different from the car business. What we call a JV in this business is what we call a turn in the car business. Hey, when somebody needs help closing a deal, we take a turn, meaning I'll take this and give it to somebody else to see if they can close it. So when I got into Omar's business, it was pretty similar to almost taking a turn, taking a qualified lead and automatically knowing they wanted to hear an offer. So I had the opportunity, not really knowing questions pertinent to real estate, I had opportunity to get on my first phone call, and I closed my first deal on that first phone call, right in the city that I live in, Cathedral City, California. And I was working for 20% of his business as an acquisition manager. And I strongly recommend anybody who's struggling to go and work for somebody who knows the ropes and call their leads and try to find a mentor that can walk you through those steps, because it allowed me to see which systems he was using to manage his clients and his lead generation. And he showed me his VAs and all his contracts. So I got to learn. Another thing is Omar understood that I was going to do this on my own as well. So he also invited me in knowing that one day I would leave. And he was just open to teaching me. So he was a good leader by position. He was a really good person. So the second week in that business, I closed a second deal. And I believe I netted him like 50-something thousand. The total was like net, like shy of $300 shy of $100,000 or something like that. I made like 19.5. So I made roughly 20% of his business. And that was all I really needed to know. That wholesaling isn't too hard when you have an actual qualified person on the phone. You know how to close. And so I ended up shifting on my own. And about a week in, so almost on my third week into this business, a video of Pace Morby pops up. And it kind of just has a video how it kind of talks about why wholesaling isn't the way, because you only have one way to go with it.
Estoy viendo, el Carlos agarró un susto y lo va a convertir en
Sorry, I couldn't. So it's like a cash offer type of thing, right? And he was talking about like, hey, you could lock up deals several other ways, similar to 1,000 ways to skin a cat type of thing. Me being an experienced salesman, I couldn't close one way, but I was able to close the second way. So I'd like multiple ways closing. It was a no-brainer. So I spent my money that I just made into this mentorship. Then getting into this mentorship, it was great. Good time, a lot of great people, a lot of great leaders, total fucking game changer from wholesaling to investing with the best, probably most likely the best real estate instructor, mentor that I've ever known and heard about. And most people love him. His name is Pace Morby. But so I get into that business, trying to be a wholesaler still, understanding creative financing, but my end goal was to be a creative finance wholesaler still. I wanted to automate the wholesale business, and I wanted to scale that and kick ass, and found out it's a little bit harder than I thought. And a few months down the road, let's say 5 months down, so let's say up to last month, where are we on July? So in the end of May, had this opportunity from this lady, her name's Jada. She's in sub 2. She's doing this Airbnb arbitrage ordeal type of challenge that we have in the sub 2 community. She knows that I live in Southern California as she lives there. And she had this property she wanted me to look at. And She told me about it. She told me it was for a lease, so she can arbitrage and do Airbnb. I wasn't really too interested in doing it for the fact that I was trying to wholesale, and I knew that this wasn't going to be a wholesale deal. So there probably was just me, boots on the ground, and not going to make any money. Really, I didn't want to do it, but the reason I did do it was she was a sub-2 student, loved the community, so I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. Went and did it, and nothing happened out of that week. And for the next 3 weeks in a row, we had 3 more appointments, and I wasn't really the one negotiating the deals for her. I was just being boots on the ground, checking it out. And that 4th time, I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna fucking try to close this because I don't feel like coming up here again. And hopefully this was enough times for her to send me leads that I can close and make money off of. And so I went in, closed that deal for her, and I called her. I said, hey, I closed this deal for you, so it's a wrap, I mean, congratulations, yada yada. Cool thing was she said, oh my God, that's so fucking cool, Carlos. I'll give you 50% of this just for doing it. And that was my journey into how I got into now slowly getting into creative financing myself as the end buyer or the one looking to tackle the deal. Before I was always in it, but I was looking to be a wholesaler. So it was more than likely an accident that I got into automatically pushing myself to want to acquire properties faster than I wanted to. So I then found out how to put a proposal together, get a lender. And then starting after that is when I decided to look at things as an end buyer. When I started looking as an end buyer, having the best community that I have and the best hey guys, be quiet. A lot of French bulldogs. It was just a lot more difficult for me to wholesale it than it was to buy it. And like I said in the beginning, guys, like if you guys are by yourself and you guys know a lot of people who are educated and you guys don't reach out, like open your mouth, or a closed mouth never gets fed. If you don't know how to open your mouth, like you're going to be by yourself. It's going to take a long time. Well, I understand there are people who are highly educated in certain areas that I'm not, that are a phone call away, that, there can be a part of a deal. There's some value there for sure. They're going to answer those questions. And so what I started to do was I started to look at deals as a buyer, and I knew some good, really seasoned sub-2 students that were kicking ass, making a shitload of money already, that I had a good relationship with. They know that I couldn't close, so that's kind of like my value, is I can help them close their own leads because they're too busy. So I started looking at some deals, and I remember now it became easier in my head. So I'm getting closer to doing sub-2 deals. I'm getting into phone calls every single day where I'm calling live sellers. A lot of them are distressed, and they're all into the negotiation phase. And so I just kept getting stronger, especially with role play and, staying sharp on my skills. Through time, most likely I've talked to almost everybody once who's in here. I've probably talked to you all before. I've talked to a shitload more people. And since a lot of people understood that I might be able to close just a little bit better than them, I've built my business through basically JVing with everybody. So how these deals I've purchased and wholesaled, none of them were my own. I've partnered with everybody on deals, or I've purchased the deals and then paid them an assignment fee. So coming up to this month, I'm looking at a couple deals together, and I get a phone call from this gentleman. I look at this deal in Georgia. I don't see it to be a deal. It's in a small market, 900 people. It's a shitty mortgage. Everything's shitty. I call this my mentor now. I call a mentor within the community. And I ask him about this deal, and he says, yeah, I'll buy it with you. And I said, well, I'm locking it up. I just don't know how the hell you're going to make money. And he goes, hey, listen, you help me with a lot of deals and you help my team out. Put yourself on the contract since you work all my deals and teach my people. And I'll walk you through and start mentoring you through these deals. And once you open my eyes to what a wrap was, it was like almost like the light bulb turned on. Again, now coming up to this deal I'm about to talk about right here that we're about to structure, it is the second day, I believe it was like July 4th. Somebody calls me in sub-2 from Florida. His name's Andrew LeBlanc. And he calls me and says, hey, Carlos, I remember that you're in California, and I know that you're a little bit better than me on the phones. I have this appointment. Can you call it? It's in Mariposa, California. Property is a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom. This is the house I'm talking about right now, guys. So it's a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom. It's 3,300 square feet. It's 2 stories on 6.5 acres. Up in the mountain area, similar to like a Big Bear, Idlewild, Arrowhead type of atmosphere by Fresno, California. And I go ahead and kind of have him catch me up to speed, what's going on with the property. So this property was listed at a sales price of $420,000. And the new homeowner who was going to purchase this property fell out of escrow because they couldn't afford the rates that were coming. And it's another long conversation, but you guys aren't aware of the market. We're going into a recession, and rates are crazy and whatnot. So this homeowner couldn't afford it. And so after I hear Andrew tell me that, I said, oh, okay, I got you. Get up on the phone call for that next morning at 10 a.m. at the scheduled appointment. And I start talking with her, introduce myself, let her know that she's speaking with my partner. And I tell her to catch me up to speed. She goes over that she had it in escrow and it fell. So I asked her, hey, why did it fall out of escrow? What's going on with it? She explains that the new buyers weren't going to be able to afford it. So it fell out. So me understanding she was already going to list it, meaning she was going to pay a commission and not actually net the full amount of money that she was truly going to sell the house for. I kept that in place. I said, okay, so if you were to relist this and then sell it to me, what would you sell it to me for minimum? So I can look at this and try to analyze it for you. She said $379,000 is the minimum I'll take. Said, so after you list it and sell it to me at $379,000, and then you pay your commissions and your fees out, what are you really going to make in your pocket? And she said, I don't know, like $345,000, $350,000. I own other homes too. And I said, oh, are you an investor? She's like, yes, I am. I said, got you. Okay. So you would really make like $340,000 on this deal is what you're saying. And she said, yeah, but I would lose money on the back end. I asked her if you can explain a little bit more what you mean by that. And she told me this, that the previous home that she had lived in, when she sold it, she did a 1031 exchange and rolled that funds into this home that she's living into now. And so if you don't know what a 1031 exchange is, basically it allows you to defer the taxes when you sell your home. So you just avoid them for that time frame. So she deferred them. She didn't pay taxes on that sale of her house, and she bought this new home. And typically you have 45 days to pick 3 different subject properties that you're going to invest in. And that property has to be of equal value of the property you previously had or higher price. And so I was like, oh crap, you're going to lose if you list it, and you're going to lose if you sell it. No matter what, you're going to lose, aren't you? So now she was truly in a pickle, right? She's an investor and she was going to lose on this deal. And I didn't understand if she's been invested. And so then I asked her, okay, so part of creative financing, you rule yourself out as a cash buyer if it doesn't make sense. So at this point, I said, hey, $379,000. Now that I knew that she was in a pickle, I said, hey, $379,000 doesn't make sense to me cash. I'm not your buyer. Declared it, not your buyer. I then typically go next into having them list it or having them keep it before I go into creative. So this is what I said. Typically, I like to work with the homeowners, and I would then try to help you out here and brainstorm with you. My next step would tell you to list it, but it already fell out of escrow. Listing it isn't going to make you any money. So why don't you keep this yourself and turn it to an Airbnb? She said, I would love to turn it to an Airbnb. I said, no, this is a badass fucking house. This house is huge. It's in an Airbnb neighborhood. I'm looking at it right now. It can cash flow like $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 during the seasons. Even out of season, it's like $8,000 or $9,000 a month. Why don't you just do that? You're gonna make so much money doing this. And she said, this is what she told me. She said, my Airbnb right down the road, I just poured all my money into it and I have no more money. So my next step was gonna say, why don't you just get a lender? But then I realized that she's a traditional investor that doesn't know how to go out of her way and be a little bit more creative. And so instead of shooting myself in the foot and giving her an idea to go find a lender for the money, I stayed quiet. I said, got you. So this is a loser deal, isn't it, for you? She said, yeah. I said, hey, I actually am the only scenario where you're going to make money out of this deal. And so I told her, I explained what subject to existing mortgage was and seller finance, and told her that I could purchase this property on payments if she gave me time to pay her. So she asked in detail, what does that mean? So I just said, it's basically, it's payments over time and maybe some money down And the way I make money is I need a cash flow, meaning I gotta pay less than what I can make money monthly, like charge maybe a tenant, or if I'm doing short-term rental to guests, I need to pay less than that. And that incentivizes me and incentivizes the homeowner for me allowing to pay more. In this scenario, I'm just gonna allow you to actually net some money in your pocket. So I start talking to her, and I asked her, what is your mortgage? And she said, there's $340,000 and I have a 3.25% interest rate. It was a really good interest rate. She bought the home a year and a half ago, so she had like 28 years left or whatever. And I said, okay, so here's the thing, I can give you $379,000. I would take over your mortgage of 340 and start making payments on it. What is your monthly payment, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance? She says $2,800. I said, what is the long-term rental rate in the neighborhood? She said 2,500. I said, why are you paying more? Well, I'm a little lost. Why are you paying a little bit more than rental rates? You bought the house a while ago, yada yada. And she said, oh, because fire insurance is pretty expensive up here. I said, got you. So you're paying more than the rental rate. And so I told her, so look, this is what I'll do. I'll take over your payment. I'll take over your mortgage. Now, your $39,000. What I can do is this. I can give you $10,000 down at the close of escrow, but I won't be able to make a payment to you on your actual equity for a couple of years, for the fact that I'm going to underwrite this right now, but you're telling me you're paying more than the rental rate. And though my end goal is to do an Airbnb, I still have to take a couple months to renovate it, get it permitted, furnished, all these things. And if I can't do it as fast as I want, I at least need to, break even on certain things like that. And she was open to it. So I said, you would, after I take over those payments and give you 10,000, you wouldn't actually be getting a payment to your equity for a couple of years. And so I can modify this deal. And so you would be sitting in silent second position, meaning that I am making payments just to the mortgage. And in about a couple of years, in 24 months, I would balloon you out, meaning just write you a one-time check for that remaining $29,000 that I owe you. And I said, would you work with me on this? This is actually the only way that you're going to net some money. Otherwise, you're going to lose on the front and back end when you sell this. And she was open to it. So before I committed to it, I said, give me a second. I want to speak to one of my mentors and just underwrite this for the fact that you're paying a little more than the long-term rental rate. I jump into the sub-2 community. I write down a description of in a summarized description of what I went over with you guys right now. I posted it in the community and said, can anybody see me? Can anybody hit me up and kind of explain to me how you see this deal, for the fact that I know we're going to make money, but I don't know why I was stuck in my head on that 28 to 2,500, because I knew we were going to net a lot more money. But I was glad that I was stuck on that question, because when I dropped it into that chat, there was a gentleman by the name of Nathan Kern in sub-2, the general contractor, lives by Fresno, California, 20 minutes from this property that I have. And he calls me. I run over this scenario with him. He says, wow, that was a good job. And I said, I don't know how to look at it, though. I know we're going to Airbnb it. And he tells me he lives close by it, that he can look at the property, but yes, the rental rate is around 2,500, and that he's spent some of his Christmases and Airbnbs up there, and they're around $400 to $500 a night during the season, during Christmas and whatnot, and there's still like $350 during regular non-season or whatever you call it. And so it's what this gentleman tells me that fucking blows my mind. He goes like this. He goes, well, you already created the structure and laid it out for them. Tell them this. Tell them that you'll take over their mortgage, and since you're already giving them $10,000 down, and you're creating a promissory note in second position for $29,000, since they already have a note in second position, and since they're already going to lose money on if they sell it any other way compared to this sale, tell them if we can sell this if we can take this over for $2,500 a month. And I said, but how if they pay $2,800? He goes, let me explain to you. So he goes, the rental rate's $2,500. Let's commit to $2,500. And since you have a secondary note open for $29,000, the $300 difference, have them make that payment every single month for at least 18 to 24 months until we modify this. So he goes, tell them this. you tell them to make the difference of that $300 payment each month, and each month we'll roll that 300 up into the second position on top of the 29,000. So over 24 months, they're gonna pay those $300 per month. They get to also write it off as a tax expense for like a business. And then what we do is after 24 months, when we balloon them their equity, we're gonna reimburse them that $6,000 that it comes out to, or roughly $6,000 that it comes out to. We're gonna reimburse them that on top of their balloon, and we're gonna give them the same mortgage interest rate of 3.25 onto that $6,000. And they came to agreements with exactly that. And that's how we locked this property, exactly like that. So I'm gonna go into a couple more things, but do you guys have any questions on anything that I just explained? It could be a little bit new for some of you. Some of you guys are already in sub 2. I've explained this to a couple other sub 2 students that they already rock out and they've never heard of something like this. I never knew that you can do that you can offer less than what they're paying and structure it for it to make sense. Now, if you guys understand in a real scenario, if I could have made it make sense, I wouldn't have done this. But in this scenario where they were in a position where they were going to lose, this is super cool about creative financing, that you can do shit like this. And I just got to thank Pace, man. I've only been doing this for like 5.5 months with him. I got to get 3 properties and I got to learn from some of the best people. I get stand up on here, underwriting deals for you guys. And I get to see so many fucking dope ass people working. And I just wanted to say what's up to you guys and see if you guys had any questions for me. And thank you guys for jumping on. So let's open up to some Q&As before we actually underwrite the deal so you guys can see how we're going to cash flow.
Anybody got any questions for Carlos in regards to that? I know it sounds a little bit, obviously it's going to go over a lot of people's head just because, you know, we don't have a whiteboard that we're drawing this on. But if you guys have any questions right before we get into how I break this down, feel free to ask it on the chat or open up your mics.
Yeah. So my boy, you said you structured it to where you offered them and committed $2,500 as the market rate, and then turned around and had them pay the $300 difference for 2 years and put it on the back end on the second note of the $29,000 that you was gonna give her, and only put and still put an interest rate of 3.25 on the $6,000.
Correct. I think that's what Carlos did. So
boy, you is a creative genius.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Remember, it wasn't me who's taught me that. It was somebody else. And the beautiful thing that I know in today's age is everybody's a phone call away. And I take advantage of that shit. You guys know a lot of people that do it at a high level, and you guys are probably in your head too nervous or maybe thinking that you're bothering someone. And a lot of people out there are actually willing to give you something they already know and do it over and over. He didn't even fucking know that it was that creative, that guy who told me. It was so creative to me that I called Andrew LeBlanc back in Florida and said, hey, bro, instead of splitting you an assignment fee for you, I'm just going to pay you the fee. And I just want to say thank you so much for thinking of me, because the motherfucker I've met that I got introduced to, he blew my mind. And now I feel so much stronger as a creative finance.
Yeah, so that's pretty dope. So just FYI, I mean, obviously with creative finance, you can, you know, the possibilities are endless. The only thing really stopping you is how creative you can be with it. When it comes to creative deals, I always ask Carlos because he's pretty much a genius when it comes to this. Obviously, he's still learning. So, you know, I can't wait for it to see what the next year follows, because I can't even get as creative as him. I'm pretty analytic myself, but when it comes to structuring deals out and, you know, you can think of anything. I didn't even think this was possible until he brought this up to me. I'm like, wait, you're putting the back end of that $300 a month on the backside of the purchase price. I didn't think that was even possible. So, you know, there's, like I said, possibilities are endless. As long as you are creative, you can come up with anything on this type of, you know, creative structuring. So, yeah, does anybody have any other questions for us? No?
I just want to mention like the problem solving in it all too, is like finding the problem and waiting and like, you know, seeing what their problems were and like being able to work with that. Like that is huge too, because there's probably going to be a lot of these coming up here in the future, like stuff like this, to where we're able to solve a lot of problems for people and make money ourselves.
100% agreed.
Yeah, that's what, basically that was it. So for those who are in sub 2 and those who are learning who want to learn how to pitch creative financing, just like in wholesaling, how there's 4 pillars, right? Like the condition, price, timeline, motivation, all that stuff. Mine, I typically go motivation, timeline, condition, and price. You guys can do however you want. But when I get into pitching creative, I first have to know that the cash offer isn't working with me, and I let them know that I am not your buyer cash, but it doesn't rule me out. So when I first got into sub 2, I started to learn right away how to pitch and overcome the objections of sub 2. But just from somebody not accepting your cash offer and you rolling into sub 2 doesn't mean that they're really open to it. Sometimes they're just entertaining it because you're bringing something up they never heard. And how I found that out is when somebody finally accepted me pitching terms to them, I brought it to a very experienced sub 2 student. I jumped on the phone and I said, hey, this guy is ready for us to actually underwrite the deal. And I don't know how to underwrite. So can we do this? And he goes, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for calling me. He goes, first, did you rule yourself out as a cash offer? I said, yeah. He goes, did you rule out the other way so they can keep or sell the home? I said, what do you mean? He goes, go and ask them if they want to list it. This guy's name is Caleb Christopher. He goes, go and ask them if they want to list it. And if they say no for X amount of reasons, tell them to keep it and rent it out for themselves, or why don't they want to keep it? And I said, why? He goes, because creative finance is the last resort. So everybody wanted to be cash. Everybody rather sell their house and get cash. And if they don't, from a cash buyer, when they list it, the homeowner is going to get financed, but that mortgage is going to write a check. So it's still basically cash to the seller. And if that doesn't work, because if they don't want to list it, then just ask them to keep it and rent it out for themselves. And you find out they live so far away, it's a fucking headache for them to come over here and rent it out. Is now when you have an opportunity to go and pitch creative. So I will never really pitch creative anymore until I rule out the other way, so I don't waste my time. And then that's what I did. And you guys found out that I happened to be the only scenario where she was going to make money. So even though she probably wasn't open to it, she was going to net some money in her pocket. So we actually helped her out. That was the cool part. I got terms that worked for me. I get to write out the fucking 28-year mortgage, but I get to balloon her 2-year the equity that I have for 2 years. So the way we structured it was really, really cool. And I got that help from another gentleman in sub 2. Here's what was next. He goes, what do you want to do with this house now that you're locking it up? Are you going to keep it or assign it? This is where I speak up, where my mouth gets fed, guys. I said, shit, I know this is a home fucking run. You sound very advanced and you're close to it. Are you interested in buying it? He goes, yeah, I am. I said, here's another thing. Are you interested in partnering with me on it? Go 50-50 and kind of show me a little bit about like the next steps of the phase on how to tackle this deal. I'd love to work multiple more deals with you now that you just spark the flame. You just turn on the light bulb for me. And he goes, Carlos, you locked this up and everything, and this is a really, really good deal. I'm down to do 50% with you to run this deal. So now I committed to this property that we're going to underwrite soon, but just the Airbnb alone is going to bring in like $120,000 to $130,000. We had my partner, after my partner Nathan committed to buying it and saying, yes, let's go 50-50. We then draft it up and lock it up. He then walks the property, and this property happens to be a 2-story property, but it has an above ground basement. It's in the mountains, and they turned that above ground basement into a 1-bedroom unit with a kitchen, and they didn't tell us that. So now we have an additional 1-bedroom with the kitchen that we're going to rent out long term for $1,000 a month. So we just picked up another $12,000 net, because we already have our Airbnb taken care of the original the expenses of the monthly payment and the Airbnb fees. So we just picked that up not knowing. So I'm like, oh shit, more of a home run. To then find out that on their 6.5 acres, they have another 2 units that they just need to be finished up being like renovated. and they have a pad to throw a mobile home. So they gave us their idea included. And now we found out we have a second cash flow opportunity on that same property, still paying less money, still paying 2,500 when I definitely can pay way over now. I'm still paying 2,500, got a second unit. We have a unit down on the acreage that there's 2 units that are small, very like connected together. We were on a conversation last night. He's a GC. The cool thing, he's a general contractor. So we're going to get this deal funded and just pay for material, but he's going to put his own time into it. And we're going to build out that little unit down there into one, instead of it being 2 small units, just 1 bigger unit. And down the road, we'll add a mobile home. So we'll pick up a 3rd and a 4th source of income on that property. It's not over yet. We have 6.5 acres. So there's an Airbnb property that I got, the one in Yucca Valley, from being the boots on the ground. The homeowner was a developer. He's a developer and a realtor in Los Angeles. He finds out that I'm renting it out for Airbnb. He was totally cool with it. He asked me if I know a general contractor in the area. I said, yeah. And we go and take a look at some of these properties he's going to build on his land. And he introduces me to like his empty land before his single family home still isn't structured or built on it yet. But he had 5 little glamping tents, and he was bringing in $100 a night on them. So I got that idea that we're going to put a campsite on one of those acres in a huge circle with 5 glamping tents. On that same day, up in the desert where I was with that homeowner who I rented out, where I did the Airbnb arbitrage, he showed me a second piece of land that he built lifeguard towers for about $10,000, since he's also a contractor, little 200 square foot units. So I game planned it with my partner. I said, let's turn ours instead of lifeguard towers into cabins. So from one opportunity of cash flowing from one source of income, we automatically got 2. Then we have opportunity to find some more money to build out that 2 unit into 1 unit, and then buy a mobile home to catch 4. Then we're going to do a couple more things. So this deal is a lot bigger than I expected. And it came from another sub-2 student that need help closing it. And I then reached out to somebody to help structuring it, reached out to Stan how to underwrite it. And I'm reaching out to another student who's going to help me fund it. I was just the guy who knew how to close it. I'm not the guy to underwrite it, not the guy to fund it, not the guy to find it. That's the cool thing, is you're not alone, but most of you guys act like you're alone. You guys don't put yourself out there. So here's the next step on this part. When you guys get into purchasing a property sub-2, typically there's still an entry fee in the deal. I believe it's 7 points of entry, if I'm right, Stan?
Yeah.
So how it works is, first point of entry is going to be money down to the seller. So we're giving them $10,000. So we need to come up with 10 grand. Second one is if there's any arrears, but we don't have any arrears or liens on this property. So we don't have anything right there. Third one is if there's a commission to a realtor or an assignment fee. And in this deal, we're going to pay out $8,500 for the assignment fees. And then the fourth one is, I believe, closing costs. I feel like $1,500 on this one. And then, so we did the renovation job, or the contractor, who is my partner, he did all the numbers. And roughly we're going to need $25,000 to renovate this property. It's fairly large. It would be more, but we're not going to pay for labor. So that's an awesome thing, is he's not charging obviously labor to our lender. He's going to do it with his dad. They're both contractors that live close by. So we get to save on our entry fee. Then I believe the sixth one is, we're going to use it for furnishing. Oh no, the sixth one is a holding costs or maintenance costs. And so holding costs, right? Well, I got to take over their mortgage payment of $2,500, and they got to start making payments to that $300 starting next month. So we got to renovate the house still. We got to change out the carpet, tile, countertops, and things like that. So it's going to take us 60 days minimum to do. So I have to have a minimum of $5,000 as well in there to pay for those 2 months. Now I'm doing an Airbnb. Most people would go into a marketing. The seventh one would be a marketing. That would be like your last entry fee, marketing, if you're going to list it or something, or I don't know if you're going to market it on a website to try to get it sold to a homeowner. But I'm going to be doing an Airbnb on this, and it's a large home. I paid an interior designer on my Yucca Valley property. She designs Pace's and Munif's properties and Count Swan's and a couple other people. So she's actually, my property is her first property that she's actually been there in person. She does everything else virtually. So as she's finishing up my first property, she just gave me a proposal on my second property. And roughly we're gonna need around $24,000. It's almost like 30,000 with her fee. So let's just put it closer to $30,000 on the renovate on the furnishings, with also her fee and her labor and everything that she's putting it together. So this deal is going to need, let me see, put this together. This deal is going to need 10,000 plus 85. $30,000. So typically we're gonna need roughly 80 grand, more or less. It'll probably be closer to 75 after I adjust the furnishing costs and probably take certain things out just to bring my cost down. But let's just leave it at let's leave it at 80,000 for right now. I got this property, no money out of my own pocket, and though I'm purchasing this deal still needs $80,000 before I can start cash flowing. So what do I do if I don't have that money? Do I sign the deal with somebody else and lose it? Or can I call somebody who might have some money? Or can I call someone who knows how to find people with money? Or if you know people with money, can you speak up and reach out to them? So what I started doing is start calling some of my friends, start calling more people, start posting again, looking for lending opportunities. And right now, Stan's gonna go over the structuring. This is kind of like very new for me, structuring this deal as an Airbnb. And so I'll be very vulnerable with you guys. I'll be asking questions that I don't know here. This is going to be the cool part because I'm learning. You guys are getting to see me learn this as well. But I still need to come up with 80,000 to fund this deal. And so what's going to happen here is I'm going to have to put something together with somebody who's willing to lend me 80 grand. And I'll probably do that in an 18 to 24 month period. My goal isn't to give them equity in this deal. So my Airbnb deal that I got in Yucca Valley, California was an arbitrage deal. It was a lease. I'm not buying it. Nobody wanted to be a lender on that for me not owning it or no real deep collateral to it. So I opened up equity partnership. Somebody came in, who's also my mentor. So I'm glad it was him. But on this one, since we own it and I'm going to have it for 28 years, though I'm going to balloon the homeowner out for 29,000 in 2 years, I'm not looking to do a partnership on this one. So we're gonna have to structure it kind of favorable for them, and hopefully, me putting in some work, I could try to get more opportunities with them for them to accept this. But I'm gonna now have to go structure this and start tomorrow. I already have a whole bunch of phone calls, so we'll do another Zoom where I'll go and I'll talk about how I ended up finding which lender and how I structured that, because I'm going to be open to this lender and be open with what they're willing to work with me on, and then adjust with them. Since I am that new, I wish I knew more on how to do it, but I don't. And so this is me trying it out. But yeah, starting tomorrow, we're going to go ahead and start looking for 80 grand to fund this deal. And then we'll start cash flowing. And then I'll update you guys on how that goes. But I'm very excited about this deal right here. It's a home run.
Sweet.
You're still open to lenders for, did you find your private money already?
Not yet. I have a lot of people.
It's not me, but I have a connection, so I'll send that in the email.
And send me I'm building a list of private money lenders and everything. Send me, if you guys are willing to lend on certain amounts, I'll put my information. If you guys are open to lending entry fees or furnishing fees, or not even on this deal, but I'm about to rock out. I'm planning to buy 2 homes minimum every single month until the year end, and then I'm gonna turn that shit up. But just a minimum with one of my mentors, Brad, we're planning to buy 2. And the reason why I can now start seeing more deals than I used to is because I can bring a deal to him and him show me how to, hey, yeah, we could buy this cash. We could put a lot of money down on this and still cash flow it. So he opened my eyes to things that I couldn't see. So now I'm a lot of deals that I threw away, I'm now looking to buy deals in any small market an hour, 40 minutes or an hour away from large cities. I'll buy little deals that don't make sense, and I'll buy big deals on creative and that make sense, you know? So that's what I'm open to right now, and I'm fucking excited, guys. Fucking excited. Let's do this. Josh, you there? So he can put, so we can share your screen, Stan. Or you got
I
it?
could, yeah, I
Okay,
could
cool.
share.
This calculator blows my fucking mind. So what I'll do is I'll have Stan introduce himself and let you know where he's from, what he does, and you know, how he underwrites, because I'm not the best at underwriting. This is the go-to guy, and at the end of this Zoom, he'll give you his information, and feel free to reach out and exchange some value. You know, I pay Stan to do these things in deals as well, so we'll be able to pay him on other deals, and you guys could use him as well, partner with him on a deal, or if you need his services, he's there for you. Go, Stan.
Sweet, appreciate it, guys. Can everybody see this? Or do you guys need me to make it a little bit bigger?
Looks good
Not look,
for me.
okay, I can't see the chat because obviously I'm sharing my screen. There we go. Let me get this going. So don't let this calculator overwhelm you, even though there's a lot of data that's coming on here. I'm gonna underwrite the deal as if Carlos and I were just talking for the first time on this. That way we could just kind of go through it. And just basically how I typically use this calculator step by step, and just kind of how to do the breakdown of any deal in particular. Because this deal is a lot more creative than usual. It's going to be a little tricky. Sometimes I'm going to be flipping through these tabs to kind of help me, and everything is pretty much connected with what you see down here. So yeah, so let's start it. Carlos, what's the asking price for this property?
79.
So 379. So I'm plugging all these in. Everything I'm gonna ask Carlos is as if I've never even heard this deal before, okay? And then what's about the after repair value right here?
About like 430.
430?
Yeah.
Awesome. I know you had different repairs. So this one right here is obviously based on the per square foot. It shows the 3,271. That was the square footage for this property, right?
Yeah, that's the square footage for the property.
Okay. Typically what I do over here is the square footage is right here, and then I'll put the per square foot based on what the construction cost is. Everything is it's changing nowadays. So we can ignore this for now, because I know you had something different with your partner. You had said it was like 20, how much was it?
The repairs is around 20, roughly 25. Yeah, it was 24, something. 25,000.
Let's go 25,000. And then are you making a fee on top?
No, but we are paying out an assignment fee.
You are paying an assignment fee.
Yeah, 85.
8,500?
8,500. Yeah.
Okay. So this fee is obviously right here. We're just basically putting all the basic information. Typically, if you are making a fee, this is where it transfers onto, and it calculates here. But this is not a flip. This is more for a seller finance and a creative deal. But everything just starts off on this side of the calculator for how I analyze deals. And then this is based on a discount if Carlos was to wholesale it to somebody else. Right here where it says MAO, MAO stands for max allowable offer. If there's anybody that's planning on wholesaling a deal, this is how we typically do it. At an 85% discount rate, this is what your max allowable offer is. It's 337 based on a 430,000 after repair costs. So that's how we basically put the standard information of what I like to ask first. And then if we move over here where it says acquisition costs, this is where the breakdown happens that Carlos was mentioning, where there is a 7-step process when it comes to an entry fee. This is taught by our mentor, Pace Morby, whenever it's broken down. So whenever you are acquiring a property from somebody, a wholesaler, you always want to ask what your entry fee is. Most people are like, hey, it's just the purchase price and the down payment. No, it's not. You have to take in consideration all of these right here, because that's basically what the breakdown is. So you have to understand, is there any arrears? Is there any assignment fee? What's the closing costs? You know, any of the repairs. Obviously, you always want to consider your holding costs for how long this project is going to be worth before you even start, going live. And then also there's marketing costs and stuff. I added an eighth, which is something that my partners and we just built into this calculator. This is just more of an out of state realtor commission if there was anything to be included on that. So, but typically it's just these 7 right here. Anybody have any questions so far? I don't want to lose everybody.
But it always confuses me, but I got it this time, but I know people are like, what is going on this?
Yeah.
Hey, what's included in the marketing cost? Like what's considered marketing?
So marketing is basically what you would do. Like, let's say if you're going to run any PPC ads, if you're going to do any mailers, anything that has to do with advertising the property, that's what marketing would be.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
If you're using a VA agency also as well, that's also included.
So like your KPIs almost.
Yeah,
like
you could.
like your cost per lead. Is that what you mean?
No, it's just more for like exactly what it is, marketing, right? If you're going to be advertising this property to get like a tenant in there, or if you're running some Facebook and Instagram ads, that type of marketing.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Makes sense, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. This other cost, I just put this in here because Carlos did mention that they're going to be using this towards Airbnb, so I just added that for now. But if we're still going back in here into acquisition, this is the very important part of any deal before you get started, because just letting you guys know, underwriting is basically like what you're doing. You're planning out your purchase before you even buy, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys have known, like when you make a purchase on any property, that's when you make your purchase, or that's when you evaluate the property's value is on the buy side. That's when you're always going to be understanding at the end. You don't make the money when you sell it, you're making the money right before you purchase it. That's why you always want to underwrite a deal before going into it and making your offers, if that makes sense. So if we start off right here, like Carlos mentioned, their purchase price is at $379. The cash down payment that he was mentioning is $10,000. This 2.6, the way that I put this is basically what's 2.6% down of that $379,000, right? So that's what it means if you're kind of curious why that's 2.6%. There's no liens, there's no arrears on this property. The owner doesn't have anything to, that's owed. So that's why it's 0. His acquisition fee that he's paying out to the wholesaler for getting this deal to him, he's paying out $8,500. Closing costs, was this correct, Carlos? You had mentioned this the other day. I don't know if this is changing or if we're changing this.
It's typically around like 1.5%.
Yeah, I always gauge 1.5%. So if it's 1.5, okay. So this
these are not the like the finalized numbers, but just so you guys can understand it, it'll probably be a little bit less than this, but just so we work with you guys, these are close numbers.
Yeah, so the closing costs, that's obviously what your lenders typically charge. This is more of estimated percentage, kind of standard. It's typically about 1.5 for the buyer side. And then this is based off of the purchase price, that 1.5%. So if I take this and I look at the values on the formula, it's just basically saying 379,000. And you're multiplying it by that 1.5%. And that's where you get that $5,685 for your closing costs. And then we're adding the repairs, the standard repairs that Carlos's GC is going to be doing, or partner is going to be 25 grand. And then this is the maintenance and holding costs. Maintenance and holding costs is basically what you're paying in your mortgage, any insurance, taxes, that gets added up, right? And this is based on the 2 months. So if you're taking 2 months divided by 5,000, that's $2,500 a month. That's where basically we're getting that $5,000, because that's the rent that Carlos was mentioning. The seller was wanting to, the rental rate, right? $2,500. Okay, perfect. And then the extra 30 grand is for when Carlos and his partner wants to use it to furnish the Airbnb, which is why we're putting this towards other costs. Just using this as an extra row for that. So right now, in total, this entry fee is about $84,000, 85. If you take the sum of all this, that's what the value is coming at. So we know to get into this particular deal, it's going to cost Carlos almost 85 grand, right? With a 2-month holding. Okay. Does this make sense for everybody? If it does, if it doesn't, just type in no on the side of the chat. If it doesn't make sense to you, that way I can go over it and explain it again.
Yeah, feel free to ask questions, put your input. If you guys have questions, and now it's good to just put them in. We can answer as we go. And on just to get to that furnishing cost, it's probably like $6,000 or $7,000 less, but I highly recommend to use an interior designer when you have like a nicer home or a home that could perform pretty well. And so, $6 or $7 grand is just, it's a fee that I'm paying somebody, a professional to do the interior designing for my home. Otherwise it could be less, but like I said, I recommend if you guys are getting into Airbnb to do it nice so that you guys can try to cash flow. It's a business, right? So that 30 grand is worth it to me. Otherwise, on a regular sub-2 deal that isn't going to be an Airbnb, this entry fee would be too high. It'd be too high of an entry fee for that purchase price. But since I'm going to Airbnb and make a shitload more than a long-term rental, then that's the reason why it can make sense.
Cool, perfect. So that's done for the acquisition side. So whenever, now we know what the entry fee is going to cost. So next thing I always ask is, whenever you want to figure out what the seller is paying on the mortgage, it's very important, especially if you're taking over somebody's mortgage payments on a sub-2 deal. You always want to know what the principal, interest, taxes, and insurances are. That's what we call a PITI, right? If you don't know what the PITI is, what you can do is you can always ask seller, like, when did you start your loan? What type of loan was it? Obviously, these things right here, I'm going to zoom in. These are very important ways to find out what your PITI is, basically what their principal that they initiated that loan at, what their interest rate is, how long of the term of that loan. Typically, it's about 15 or 30 years. Obviously, there's 12 payments in a year for the 12 months, when the start date was, and then obviously the typical balloon is about 30 years. So if I activate this button right here, right, it gives me all these calculations. It's just basically saying that, you're going to take this loan subject to, based on that principle of, for this particular loan, it was a conventional. I already had these plugged in from the other day when Carlos and I were underwriting this, so just kind of makes it a little bit easier. They started this mortgage back in October of 2020. And then basically they've paid down just in the last 2 years on it's always going to be like more interest on the pay down when on the first 10 years versus the remaining years after that. So just in 2 years, oops, 1 second, let me backtrack there. So just in 2 years, it's already been paid down, 13,000 on their principal, right? That's how I kind of find out like what's the balance so far. So if we go back to here. All right, so you see how I turn this on and turn it off? On the left side, if you focus right here, this existing mortgage, they're paying their principal based on that $340 or $340,000 principal. They're paying $540 a month just towards that. And then there's a higher interest of $996. So just on principal and interest, the seller is paying out $1,550.57. Now, how do we find out what's that 2,500 that Carlos has mentioned? We didn't take in consideration the taxes yet. So the taxes on this property is pretty high. It's $516. And then he also mentioned that there is fire insurance on this. So we went equivalent to what that $2,800 was. And we kind of just based it on an estimated value of $734. That's pretty high for you know, anything, especially when it comes to California, is kind of, you know, you're including fire insurance. That's, I don't know what that typically is, but just keeping that into account, that taxes and insurance is gonna come out to $1,250, and then that's where we're coming back at with that $2,800 for the principal, interest, taxes, insurance. So remember when Carlos was mentioning, hey, this lady was, you know, their rental rate is about $2,500 for that area, and then we put that $300 towards the back of that purchase. That $300, and you times that by 2 years, it's about $7,200 that he's gonna save that seller and put it back towards the end of the loan. So that's where that $2,800 minus the $2,500 per month equals that $300. But I didn't lose you guys on that.
Shouldn't the 1,250 be divided by 12? Or is that $500 in taxes monthly?
That's $500 in taxes monthly.
God damn, California. Jeez,
Yeah,
that's
so-
crazy, bro.
Yeah, so this
Yes, sir.
calculator this calculator is broken down so this is per month, right? Just to make it easier for you guys to see it. This is per month that they're paying out just to keep this property. So that's why you always want to know what your holding cost is, because every time you hold a property, that's what you're paying out on a monthly basis. That's what's holding you to it for your holding costs. And it doesn't include any of your HOAs. That doesn't include any operation costs of management fees, vacancies, maintenance fees, and other costs. So right now, that's where we're at. All right, so Carlos, I think you were mentioning that you wanted to do this as an Airbnb. So we're gonna go over here on this Airbnb tab. Everything is connected from that inputs calculator or the inputs tab and goes inside here. So that's why you still see this 379, 2.6% on the down payment percent, the $10,000 on the down payment side, closing costs. So this is what our loan data is telling us. The only thing difference for this particular calculator for the Airbnb is just understanding what the average daily rate that we can get for this specific property. Okay. So if you really want to know what the breakdown is, do you know, Carlos, do you know what the daily rate is for this property?
Yeah, so like this property, since we're furnishing and getting it all ready, we're gonna automatically go to like the filter section, and we're gonna click in kitchen, parking, washer, dryer. We have a hot tub. So all that stuff, it brings up how much money you can bring in per night. And so I believe it is, let me see, I'll bring it up right. Okay, so if we were to do this month, it would be, because it does range. I put this in on like saying 70, I put it like on the percentage where we're basically vacant 75% or more on it. And you can, this month would do typically 13,000. So if I divide that in
Is that 13,000 on the high end?
13 on the high end. Mhm. Here, I'm bringing it up on my data right now. Give me one
Okay.
second. So here we are. Hold it up. So on the low end, it would bring in $11,026. So let me just break that down. I break it down like in like a 21-day period, but for this one, it's a little bit juicier. I'm gonna do it by 25 days. So it's like it's gonna do on the low end around like $424 or something like that.
So $424
A night.
Okay. So I'm just basing it off of the 70% occupancy rate because that's kind of standard.
Yeah.
And then what about the high
The high
average?
end is 13, 437. 537. We do have that 1-bedroom unit. You know, we don't have to underwrite that one, but remember there is an additional 12 grand that we're going to be making.
Yeah. This is just to keep it as simple as possible so we don't lose everybody. So we got the 2 daily rates. Typically for an Airbnb, it's about 70% on the occupancy rate on the low side, and then you want to keep it at the 75% on the high side. So if we take these two in consideration, the 424 daily rate on the low side, your monthly income is about $9,027, right? And this is not in consideration of, this is only consideration of the daily rate times the occupancy rate of 70% divided by 12 months. So this is what we're making on the low side. And then obviously with the 537 on the upper range, making about $12,250 a night on this property. Obviously, these numbers are never always going to be accurate, but this is kind of giving you an idea based on what, you know, we're underwriting on this property. And then per year, this property is, taxes is 6,192. Insurance is about $8,800. There's no HOA. And for Airbnbs, for people that don't have it or are getting into it, most of the time, property management fee is going to be a lot more higher than your average property, right? Most property management companies charge about anywhere between 8 to 10% on a normal rental property. But for an Airbnb, because there's just a high turnover on the clients every few days, they charge a little bit more, sometimes 25%. So right now we're just taking consideration that 20%. Maintenance costs, you want to do about 3% of your monthly fee. Your booking fee is about 3% that Airbnb takes, I believe. Lodging and tax, I'm not too familiar with this, but I know that they have some on some states. And then monthly supplies, I'm just putting a standard of about 150. That's for like toilet paper, any of, your washing, dryer, all that stuff that you would normally have in your Airbnb. Monthly utilities, exactly what it is, water, trash, sewer, any of that. Obviously it can fluctuate plus or minus depending on how big your property is and how much of a turnover you have. And then also monthly cable internet, it's about $150. So based on all these expenses, the breakdown of monthly expenses is about $5,035, right? So your net income for this property take home on the high end is about $7,200. And then for the low side, $4,800. So you can see what the monthly cash flow breakdown of this particular property is right here per year and then per month. So this is pretty high actually, and that's why for this property that Carlos has, he knows for a fact that this is a home run just based on the numbers that he's taken in consideration for. Now, not all properties are always going to be in this high range, but obviously if you do find something like this, then you're gonna make sure that this cash flow is pretty heavy.
Yeah, so typically Airbnb deals, they have to be like in hot Airbnb spots, like a tourist popping Airbnb spot. So the one I have in Yucca Valley, for some reason, people like that desert lifestyle. We're going to be basically, the numbers are pretty much similar on the Yucca Valley property. They're going to be doing it from like $8,000 to $12,000 on the same one. It's a very nice home. It's a 4-bedroom, two bedroom home that I have in Yucca Valley. It's 2,200 square feet. Furnished it, put a pool in and like an above ground pool and a jacuzzi, and we're going to be cash flowing. Here's the cool thing. I barely know what I'm doing. And if you see the numbers right here, you see like the annual after, like what we're going to actually make, my partner and I, in a year, 86,000. I split that with somebody. So we make 43,000 a piece. We just took an average income that somebody has to work 40 hours a week for. And now we just created that together, him and I on one property. I'm going to make 43,000 roughly, right? Could be a little less, could be a little more. I mean, we also have that other $12,000 that's going to come in from that 1-bedroom unit, those other projects that are coming up. But I just now picked up what people have to wake up every day, go 40 hours a week for the whole year to make 40,000 or whatever they were going to make, I just picked it up from picking up properties, not really knowing how to do it by myself, but reaching out to people like Stan to help me underwrite it, someone to help me structure it, someone to help me tackle it. You just put all the pieces together and there are people out there willing to do this. I'm excited because now I'm finally acquiring my own portfolio, and if you see the Airbnb strategies, you can definitely see how it's going to cash flow. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, you're welcome. Does anybody have any questions right now? I know somebody was asking over here in the side chat. Let's see. Alex says, thanks for your information, guys. Can you please send a link to the calculator? So unfortunately, this calculator I don't give out. If you do want to use me, you can call me. I'll give you guys my information once we're done with this Zoom. I don't specifically give this one out. I haven't created a light version just because we spent a lot of hours building this. But I do want to give you guys an incentive. If you guys do want to get a copy, what my incentive is, to incentivize you guys to work with me is, bring me your deals that you guys want me to help you analyze. If we do lock that deal in together, I'll be happy to, give this as a gift for doing that as well. But yeah, typically I don't like to give this out just because there's just a lot of data in here that, that we put together to help and, give you guys value as well. But there are guys that you can,
Can you put your information right there for everybody to reach out to you, and just be diligent, guys. If you guys have deals that you don't know how to underwrite, he's like my go-to. So he's giving you information. I explained the entire time. I didn't know how to do a lot of this shit. Probably you guys don't know how to do a lot of this shit. So what you guys have some opportunities and you need some help, don't know how to do sub 2, but maybe find out how to pitch it and get someone open to. Stan is a guy that you can reach out to like you reach out to me, but he also understands how to underwrite, which I don't. I don't mind locking him up, but I'm learning with Stan. I don't mind partnering up with him, making money with him for him giving me this time, because without him, I wouldn't know how to do this. Same thing with you guys. If you guys can get the calculator, but doesn't mean that you're not able to work with him, learn it with him. And then if you guys close a deal and split it and make money together, that's one way he would actually give it to you, and he'll still be there to instruct you how to use it. That's one way you guys can work with him.
So, I mean, what we did was just obviously just kind of a very basic underwriting on going about with Airbnbs. This calculator, we do it so that, we do it for our flips as well. Before we go into any flips, obviously now there's a lot more, you have to be a lot more conservative when running your numbers, especially if you are an investor that wants to get into fix and flipping with the market cycle coming down and, stabilizing. There's a lot more things to put into place. This calculator does it. Right. Obviously, you can see it right here, your sub 2 loan, your seller finance loan, a hybrid. If you're doing a sub 2 and a seller finance deal, we've built that together. So it includes all the breakdown for that. It also includes obviously the hard money lender side, because you got to understand, like, what is your hard money lender going to give you to let you borrow on your loan to value before you even get into the deal. Every hard money lender has their own terms. So you always want to know what those numbers are before getting into a deal. We also do a wrap on this. Also with private lending, it tells you a breakdown of what you're going to give to your private lender for borrowing that money over time. And then as well as, what the current rent is for that specific house based on, what you can rent it out for per month. And then also for future value after you repair the property. So just a little bit of background. I know I didn't get to really talk about this before we even started this. I'm a licensed agent here in Las Vegas. I do mostly commercial, but obviously with the investing side, I do a lot of the residential with our flips. And then I help underwrite deals for sub 2 students, as you can tell. So, that's my background. I've done sales and marketing for about 15 years in Las Vegas for the mega nightclubs. So every nightclub out here, I was running the front door of. But yeah, I got licensed back in August of last year, and this is basically how I got started with the creative finance. I found Pace in February, and that's how Carlos and I connected. We went through the convention and met him there in person. Really good dude, and we just started. We loved each other's energy and the hustle, and we just vibe from the first time we started. So we're like, let's do some deals together. So that's how I provide him value, is just doing this, because not a lot of people are very analytic. A lot of people look at this and they're like, damn, this is way too confusing. So I'll be that guy for you. Bring me, whatever you have presented. If you want to know what the breakdown is, what you can earn for that specific property over time, let me know and I'll be happy to underwrite it for you guys.
Thank you so much, Stan. Thanks so much. We'll open it up for Q&A, and right here, guys, if you guys are a little confused, you have some questions, please not only drop them, but open up your mics and go ahead and start asking questions.
I've got a quick one here. So like, say we want to bring something to you, Stan, do you have like sort of like a checklist of like information that you would like us to bring to make sure that we have before we come to you? to kind
Yeah,
of
good. It's a
here?
very good, very good question, because a lot of times, most people don't know what to bring, right? So always want to find out, if you guys want to write this down, always find out what the asking price is, what the after repair value of that property, if you do find it. If you guys have an estimated repair cost for that. Everything you want to basically right here on this basic information, bring this to me. If it is taking over an existing loan, find out what their PITI is, your principal, interest, tax, insurance, because we always want to plug those in. And if you guys don't get it, we can always find it on Redfin, or we can find it somewhere on the assessor's page. But if you guys can get that information as much as possible, even all these right here, the 7, all your entry fees, how much down payment you're going to put towards the seller, if they have any arrears or liens on the property. If you're going to be charging an assignment fee, what's that assignment fee going to be? Obviously I can plug in everything else, but the easier that you can, get that information, the faster we can underwrite deals, just because sometimes it can easily take us 30, 40 minutes just to like get things going. And I want to be as efficient as possible. So if the more information you guys can give me, the better. And then we can just break that down. Every market is going to be different when it comes to, your guys' numbers. So just try to find out what your guys' other fellow investors are, getting in your community. Like for us here in Vegas, we were running things, let's say, for example, we were running things at 85% discount of after repair value. Now I'm getting feedback that everyone's running it between like 60 to 70%. So that's a big drastic change. And the best way to find that information is just asking. You never know what if you don't know without asking somebody. So try to get me as much information as possible, and then we can go from there.
And I'll add to that, if you guys need a little bit of help getting to the finish line on that phone call, call me up. We can get close to closing it. We could jump on another Zoom with Stan. So if you're alone, the people think they don't have any value, you putting out the work and finding a lead, not even knowing how to close it. I closed this deal, I paid the assignment fee you guys see. We're paying an assignment fee to somebody who just had an appointment. So if you guys just get a lead, not even structure it that well, but I want to buy it, I'll pay you a fee. I paid him I paid $8,500 in there for the fact that it was a great deal, a home run deal. As you guys see, there's going to be some deals that are not going to be home runs and adjust the price. But right here, to me, I see a home run deal. It came from somebody who didn't know how to really pitch it. I then go and connect a couple of different people together. We brainstorm together. I know how to close, so I go and do my job, and everybody else help me put this deal together behind the scenes, and we're getting paid. So same thing here. If you guys are stuck a little bit, certain deals, you don't know how to see the right way, you don't see what we see in the mirror, feel free to give us a call. We'll go ahead and work it, see if we can lock it up structured together. But Stan's open, and you guys already know me. I'm open.
Sweet.
I have a question, Stan and Carlos. So I'll turn on the camera. Hey, question is, so if I'm bringing a lead, so you guys work with me, or it's like just I send you the address, the information, and you guys do whatever needs to be done, and then Alex, that's gonna be your fee, because I'm interested, in more partnership, like JVing on the learning, this Excel is awesome. I'm also Excel guy. I'm an IT, so I'm also having my Excels, but this is already kind of ready, so that's why I got excited about it. And I have some versions, probably the light version that Stan, if you created it, so I have the light version, that I received from the Sub2 community, which I'm also part of it, So the question is, so how much is the if I bring a lead, and we work together on it, acquisition, and maybe I'll do that at this point also. So how much do we split the deal? Can you just talk about it a little bit?
You want it, so your goal would be to wholesale it?
we can brainstorm together what's the best strategy, you know, like if it's maybe we can own it together as Airbnb, you know, we can wholesale it, we can, you know, depends on the whatever makes sense, you know, but I want to participate as part of, you know, of decision making, you know, hey, so these are the options, you know, like we would be better. Like I want more partnership rather than, hey, Alex, we'll throw you 5K, you know, like fee, you know, like I want to be more involved in rather than just, you know, get the fee.
And go ahead, answer first.
Yeah, so typically, I mean, JV deals are depending on how involved you want to be, right? That's how we kind of break down the percentage breakdown. So if you want to just pass off something to, let's say, Carlos, like, hey, Carlos, can you help me, you know, close this deal? But you want to just be more like, hey, I'm going to pass this off. You know, I'll collect, let's say 10%. Carlos does all the heavy lifting. So it just depends on how much you want to be involved in that deal. If it's like, let's say me and Carlos, I always tell him to incentivize him, like, hey, do you mind following up with this lead? You close it. I just want to be hands off and I want to collect the paycheck. Maybe he'll give me like 25%, and then he gets the 75%, and then he splits that 75 to whoever his team is. So it's just more of, you know, how you, it just depends, right? How you want to disposition that property, because every deal is different. Every deal is going to be a lot more complicated, but it usually starts off about like that 50-50 split.
How I look at it too is, so typically PACE teaches us other wholesalers who did what this wholesaler did, you know, and give them like a $500 fee, right? But if you see somebody that's willing to work with you over and over, and you see that they're trying to bring multiple deals and bring value, and yeah, maybe they want to use you as a mentor, that person, you could either pay them a higher fee or maybe start partnering up, because they're most likely going to want to start putting in a lot of the work to learn how to do things. And that's the best way for you to get into partnering up with deals with someone like myself or Stan, or getting a little bit more, is going up to somebody that you want to work with or get to a certain level with, bring them a deal that you're currently working on, work it with them, be a part of that deal, but the entire time be assertive, attentive, and focus on the deal with intentions of continuing to bring more deals. That's how you're really going to partner up with people. Brad, or the guy who partnered up, Brad is the guy I got the home with in Georgia. For the fact I don't know how to do it, give him, hey, I'll give you 50% if you kind of show me, but I'll bring you a lot more deals. You already know me, so I'm working. So he understood our relationship. The value I brought Jada, walkthroughs to lease a property out. I said, hey, I want to go every deal that I can with you. I'll do it because I like to eat. I'll make money with you. Out of me saying that and working for her 4 separate times, she didn't want to drive 2 hours out of the way to go to this property. So I drove 45 minutes out of my way to do it. I got 50% of the deal. Yeah, what I'm saying? This Airbnb deal that I bought up north, somebody could have kicked me out of the deal. Like the person who I partnered with, he could have just told me, no, I'm not going to teach you, but I'll just pay you the fee. But he also knew who I was, and he knew that I was trying to bring value and work more deals. And so he was willing to partner up because he understands that this is going to be a fruitful relationship. And so that's my answer to you, is similar to Stan. It just depends on how involved you want to be in it. And if you're trying to do a one and done, you'll get the fee like that. And if we see that you're trying to put in some time and effort, we'll start working with you differently. You know, we'll start showing you a little bit more. And we're fairly new. He joined, I think, in February. I joined in January. Okay. And we're just taking action. That's all we're doing. We haven't even been doing this for 6 months yet. So I've been able to acquire 3 properties in the last 6 weeks just from looking at things as a buyer. Got to give it a PACE, man. PACE is a fucking different animal. If you guys are gonna think about joining sub 2, if you're not in it, use my name, Carlos Ruiz. Get up in there, get a discount referral code, and get your ass in here. You guys will learn just as much.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Almost.
We have any more questions for Stan, for myself?
Yeah, when y'all ready to take down this 10 unit in Gulfport, Missouri, you feel me?
We'll get on a group text or call in a little bit. So we'll go take a look at this.
Yeah, I got everything. I've been looking up them, you feel me? Like I mean, for
I'll
like,
I'll chat with you and then we'll set it up on a different day. So you see Stan with his little baby. See right there, he's ready to go. We'll do it on a different day, but I would love to work that deal with you. And you said it was a commercial property. Stan just said, hey, I'm also a commercial agent. So who got the experience? You got the experience and the underwriting. So
yeah,
So,
we got it.
so
We're
this,
open to it.
just FYI, this calculator is not meant for multifamily. This is more for like the single family property. I do have a separate calculator that I use for multifamily to break down those multi-units. So that's kind of where I learned all my background of underwriting deals is obviously on multifamily units. And then obviously that is a lot more different when it comes to breaking down their expenses and the cost, because you gotta understand how to evaluate profits and loss and what the type of cash flow that they're bringing in, but also like it's based on cap rate, right? That's how you really estimate value on multifamily homes. It's very different from just analyzing a single family. So maybe yeah, Carlos, we can probably set up another one just for multifamily underwriting. That's going to take a little bit longer just because there's a lot of things to learn when it comes to multifamily.
We'll figure it out first. We'll get with Shane.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can structure this deal, see if we can get it funded. I mean, make it into a real deal, and then we'll jump on a Zoom for everybody and we'll re-underwrite that deal.
Sweet. Well, we appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Is everybody good? Everybody got some value today? Right on, guys.
Awesome. If you guys do have Instagram, I put my Instagram on there. If you guys want to send me a follow, that way I can meet you guys. I know a lot of new faces in here. I know I recognize some of the guys that I've invited personally, so I appreciate you guys all jumping in and spending an hour and a half with Carlos and I today on a Sunday. You guys could be doing something else, but yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you, Carlos.
Peace out, guys.
Awesome.
Good night, guys. Enjoy Sunday.
Later.